This is working. Gracias, Shona. I don't know what it is. So I'm sorry, I can speak some limited amount of Spanish, but I can't do a whole thing in Spanish, so you'll have to listen to me in English. And you can maybe ask if you have questions or if we have time for questions. Maybe you can speak in Spanish, I can understand it, or maybe some of the organizers can translate. We'll manage. Probably I won't have time for questions anyway. And have this. This is AI at work, so you can see how well it works. It can help. It can help. So let's get started. I'm going to talk to you about. Initially, it was top 10 SEO mistakes that I've seen people doing with Joomla websites, and this has increased, turned into, okay, but now we have AI, and should we still be doing SEO? So there's the first part. I still have the questions, the mistakes, and then we'll get into should we still be doing SEO, and well, you can guess the answer to that, but we'll see why. Anyway, so my name is this is working. My name is Yannick. I'm a developer from France. I run a small company called weblur.com, and I started doing this in 2005. And from the start, from the get-go, I was doing SEO extensions, things dedicated to SEO. So over time, this has evolved into really technical SEO extensions and also extensions dedicated to content, because content is SEO and SEO is content. So I have this for SEO extension. You can see it's for, in Spanish it doesn't sound so well, like Cuatro SEO or Cuatro Analytics. Okay, in English it sounds good. It's for AI, for SEO, for analytics. So the biggest one is for SEO. Everything SEO, you have it there. For analytics is more recent. It's been about a year, and it's a private analytics extension, very thorough. It's currently getting AI inside, but it's not there yet. It's running only for me at the moment. For AI is the extension that was mentioned just earlier, and it does a lot of things for you, more integrated, creating articles on your behalf, so that it's doing the same thing, creating content and translating content, creating images, letting you modify images, but it's really well integrated into Joomla. For Command, if you want to give it a try, there's a free version. Most of these are paid for, but For Command there's a free version of For Command and For AI. For Command, I love it. You know, I made it, but I love it. It's a command palette. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's another way to navigate through Joomla features and functions without having to click around. It's super fast. And if you spend time inside of Joomla, you want to give that a try. We have an extension if you want to run your podcast inside of Joomla. Fully featured, everything hosted on Joomla. So I'm not going to go further on that. Let's start with the small things. I've seen people, the small mistakes I've seen people doing, and it's very mixed up kind of thing. You develop a website for a customer, and you leave it open. Maybe you put // on your robot.txt and you sync yourself. But if you do that, well, you might have URLs from your website closed with your robot.txt that you find in Google, despite that. And nowadays, with AI robots not respecting anything, it's going to happen more and more, and you can have even your content found in Google and other places. So if you do that, make sure you block access, really. Usually, the simplest is with a password in htaccess. Just block it entirely so nobody can access it. Otherwise, it's going to be in Google very soon, earlier than what you want. Second mistake, maybe more of a surprise. This is if you go to the Joomla global configuration, you have the default site meta description. I don't know how it's spelled in Spanish. So I've seen many times people entering something here, thinking this is a description for the homepage. It is not. This is a description that Joomla is going to use anytime any page on your website does not have a description. And the result is that if you have a website with 1,000 pages, you're going to have 1,000 times the same description. So just leave that empty. Just leave it always. There is no exception. Just leave it empty. I would like it to be removed from Joomla, but that argument is difficult to make. So just leave it empty always. Mistake number 3 is more recent. It's similar. The Ceph system plugin in Joomla. Now, recently it got a whole bunch of settings, and one of them is the first one is a site domain. It's a field where you can type the root URL, the domain URL of your website. And it sounds good, but the effect of that is that Joomla is going to add a canonical tag to all your pages, which also sounds good, except is nearly always wrong. And it's right when it doesn't matter, but when you would need a canonical tag, it's always wrong. I won't get into why, but it's always wrong. So please, just don't enter anything here. It was done for something else. It was done for when you're having multiple domains going to the same Joomla website. So just don't use it. Leave it empty. Mistake number 4, you're going to like that one. Mistake number 4 is that you have a sitemap on your website. Okay, so it's kind of a joke, and you'll see there's another side of this story, but essentially, you don't need a sitemap. Most Joomla websites don't need a sitemap because they are too small. The official Google documentation says you probably don't need a sitemap if you have less than 500 pages on your website. So, I mean, you can think about it, but 500 pages, that's already a pretty big site. So you don't actually need a sitemap. So you could say, well, I don't need one, but I can have one, it doesn't hurt. Well, the actual mistake is that often it hurts because many people just put all their pages inside of their sitemap, which is incorrect. That's not what a sitemap is for. A sitemap is essentially meant to list the good pages. So if you put the bad pages, you're sort of nullifying, destroying the purpose of the sitemap. So if you do it right, and probably in most cases, just don't do it. Number 5. Number 5. Okay, this one also goes against things I've seen a lot, but you spend a lot of time writing meta descriptions for all your articles, for your pages, everything, categories, everywhere. You spend a lot of time writing nice and good meta description. And many integrators and agencies, they sell you that sometimes. We are doing SEO for you. What do you do? Well, we write description. So, one, that doesn't help SEO at all. It's not used for ranking. Second, it may be used for in the snippets that Google and others display in the results. It may be used. Studies shows that it uses your description 25–30% of the time. So my point is, if you have a few pages and you write description, it's fine. If you have a large site and you spend lots of time doing that, maybe you want to write another article instead. Okay? Just decide what your time is worth of, and if you pay somebody, an external SEO agency, to write the descriptions, that's what they do, you're probably wasting some money. Also, this is happening because most of the time all search engines, they actually prefer to change the description of a page in accordance to what the people search for. That's why they change it. Because you search for something and they look into the page and they see, okay, this part is the best that matches what the people searched. Okay. So there's been recent studies, because they are getting better and better at doing that, there's been recent studies that showed that in many cases you get more clicks in the search results if you let the search engine write a description than if you write it manually. In other words, many people pride themselves saying, I'm writing good descriptions. I'm good. I write, they don't know what they do. I'm good. But in fact, in many cases, you're not as good as you think. And anyway, you're probably wasting your time because it's not going to be used. So just think about that. Maybe you write another article, a good one. I'm going to skip through this one. It's more technical. Number 6 mistake, you have URLs. It's something from the past. You have URLs like this, domain, and the direct title of your article. So that's not a problem in itself for SEO. It's fine. In fact, the URL really doesn't matter at all. But in my experience, it's better to keep a category, at least one, maybe two categories in your URLs. And the reason is that maybe 6 months from now, you're going to want to do a redirect or add a no-index tag to a bunch of articles. Now, if your URLs are like this, you're going to have to do it for each article individually. If you have categories here, you can, with the right extensions, tools, you can put a rule, one rule that does what you want, one redirect. So it's a practical thing. It doesn't affect SEO at all. It really doesn't matter, at least at this point. Okay, switching to bigger things. Somebody has to tell me when I'm like 5 minutes, I have 5 minutes left. So they're all gone. Anyway, no, I don't care. Okay, mistake number 7, we are getting in the big things. You don't use an analytics solution. All right, it's okay. You tell me when I have like 5 minutes left. Okay, no. Okay, anyway, let's. He'll stop me anyway. Yeah. Okay, you don't use analytics solutions. It's simple, but it's the old saying: if you don't measure something, you can't really improve. So if you do something on your website and you don't know exactly what's happening, you don't know if what you do is good, or if maybe you get good results, you make a change, you get good results, but you don't really know, and it's good, you're happy, but you don't really know if your change, if what you did is what caused the improvement. So it's always good to measure. And yeah, this is for analytics. My extensions is of course the preferred one. But just use analytics and probably not Google Analytics anyway. I have found that people tend to, when they use analytics, tend to drown themselves in lots of numbers. They have nice dashboards with lots of numbers. It's rarely useful. Usually you don't look at, after like 2 weeks, you don't look at the numbers because there are just too many, so you need to focus on that. It's an increasing order of importance. Mistake number 8, you do not have a Google Search Console account. I guess you know what a Search Console account is and what it does and what. The Search Console is a tool by Google, and there's an equivalent for Bing. It's a tool that tells you how your website and your pages are doing in the search results. You need to have an account there. It's free. It doesn't slow down your site. It's nothing to do with your site. There's no JavaScript running on your site or anything like Google Analytics. It's entirely free. And it's got the information from the source. So you need to have one. And my experience as well here has been that like all SEO tools, it tends to tell you, this is not working, you have a problem here, you have a problem there, this is broken, etc. Okay, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Many times, this is just false alert. They want to say things to you, so that probably because they want to prove they are useful, but most of the time, it's not, these are not real problems, but you still want to have that and look at it. You need to understand it. Okay. Mistake number 9, it's a 2-part mistake. The first part of the mistake is that you redirect your 404 errors. The mistake I've seen the most, probably, is that, oh, I've put something in my HTXS or whatever that redirect all 404s to the homepage. So that's bad. Don't do that. Search engines need the real 404s. So you can have a nice 404 page, an error page that's nice and good, and we can discuss what nice means, but you can't redirect to your homepage. That's wrong. It's wrong for your users because they thought they were going to one page, and now all of a sudden they arrive at another page they didn't ask for. They don't know what's happening. And it's bad for search engines as well, which can't update their index. So the problem is not having a custom error page. The problem is making a redirect. So that was the first part. You redirect 404 errors. And the second part of that mistake is you do not redirect 404 errors. Okay? So it's a funny thing, but like in SEO, it's always like that. You ask a question, and the answer is, it depends. So it's always like that. So there is a situation where you need to redirect 404 errors. It's when you you change something on your site and this old page does not exist, or this content does not exist anymore, or it changed, the address changed, but you have a new equivalent, strictly equivalent one, or one that replaces it, then you must do a redirect. So when you have a replacement, do a redirect. And number 10, but it's not finished. Number 10, you do not have structured data. If you're in 2025 and you're just still on the web, you have not moved to mobile applications or AI or whatever, you need to have structured data because this is what's going to be helping both search engines and AI bots better understand your content. Despite what they say, they are really smart, but they actually don't understand that much. So they still need, in some areas, they still need some help. And structured data is also what's going to trigger, at least for Google, what's going to trigger some specific features in the search, on the search page, where your content may be put, in front of the others. So it's really important. It's not easy. As you probably know and you noticed earlier, Joomla has support for generating structured data. This is what structure is probably small, but this is what structured data look. It's JSON, a piece of code that's inside your page. People don't see it. It's meant for machines, but it's not really something you want to write by hand. Joomla has a support for it, which is very extensive. Many types of content are covered, but you have to do it manually. One piece at a time. And that's a problem because if you have somebody writing an article, it's already difficult to make them write a description, although they should not, you remember that, or write a good title or follow your rules. So having them properly configure all the structured data thing is really complicated. So there are extensions for Joomla. Tassos is probably a well-known extension maker, is making one that's really famous. For SEO does that. There are a few. And it's better to do it automatically, especially if you have a large website. Okay, the really, really bad things, because 10 errors is not enough. So the really, really, really bad thing on your website is when you change a URL. You have an article, you have a piece of content, a product maybe, and it's indexed by Google and Bing, it's doing well, you have some traffic. And for some reason, you change its URL. It was Joomla SEO tips, it's Joomla SEO tips.html because you like having .html at the end. So instantly, you lose everything that any search engine has associated with that page. You lose immediately everything. So you're going to say, yeah, but I'm going to do a redirect. Sure, it's okay, it's fine if you have 1 or 2 pages. It might take time. But if you have 500 pages that are which URLs have changed that way, it's going to take you a month before they actually recrawl everything, find the redirects, and all of that. So it's not nice. You're going to lose traffic. Maybe you recover, maybe not. And the reason I mention that is because, unfortunately, in Joomla, it's super easy for inexperienced webmasters to change URLs without knowing it. One thing we do in SEO, for instance, oftentimes is that you have categories and subcategories, and sometimes you have one category with articles that are doing well, or on the contrary, they're not doing so well, so you want to push them. And what you do is instead of having just a menu item going to blog and all your articles, you decide you create a new menu item which goes to the Joomla hosting category directly. And now the URLs for all the articles in that category are changed. And you just change a menu item. So you have to be careful with that. Just don't change URLs. Okay, and yeah, so I was saying, yeah, if you change an article, I want to mention that. You don't play with your menus. You don't change aliases. That's what decide about the URL, so you don't change that. If you want to change a title, an article title, that's good. Change it. Don't change the alias. The keywords in the URL don't matter, so you can keep the alias the same. It's totally fine. Don't worry about that. Okay, now we were the big mistakes, and now the whole that goes above the screen, and that's it. You think because we have AI, you don't need to do SEO. So if you think that, you're probably dead. I mean, that's a normal reaction, right? We don't need SEO because we ask ChatGPT and Perplexity and Gemini. We ask questions, and they just answer. Okay. So I live in France, so there's something that I don't have at the moment, which is in Google. When you go to google.com to search, you have that in Spain. So I made a small movie. I'm going to show it to you. Now you have what's called the IA mode. No sé cómo se dice. And this is how it works. Maybe you've seen it. I guess you've seen it. This is it. So it's pretty quick. I'm doing a search. And now I can click on the AI mode here. And this is what it is. It's like Gemini in here. Okay, so there are things. It's going to play and play and play. I'm going to switch to something else. But there are two things important here. So far, when you go to google.com, you or your clients and your users, you end up on the Todo tab. So it's just regular search that you see. And the AI mode is on the left, but it's not selected. Obviously, 6 months from now, or I don't know when, it's going to be the default. And then the rest is probably going to disappear over the years. So this is going to be the default on Google. So it's there. So the second thing that's interesting to see is that when you get, let me wait for a second. It's pretty quick. You switch to AI mode, and you're going to see here, thinking, searching, and 7 sites. Okay, so that's the point. You think that AI makes it useless? How do you think they work? How do you think Gemini and Perplexity work? What happens when you ask a question, any kind of questions? What's the first thing they do? They run a search. Perplexity and ChatGPT and pretty much everyone else, all the AI models, LLMs, they have a contract with Bing and they search Bing results. And then, so in other words, we'll see there's a little detail about that that's important. They search on Bing. And of course, Gemini search on Google. Okay, so you could say, yeah, but not always. So first, the query I made, which is how to insert an image in a Joomla article, you could say, well, they have seen many, many articles about that in the past. It's in their training data. They have that built in. But the thing is, they can't trust their built-in data. They know they can't, especially Google. The other are less cautious, but they can't. And so they need to do something called grounding. They need to still research to be sure to improve their chances to not hallucinate and say things that are really, really wrong. And the second part of it, it's an AI translation, so I hope it's fine. The important thing is cuando un muestra y construye una respuesta, en realidad está tratando de hacer algo llamado query fan out. So the difference between somebody searching, the real difference between somebody searching on Google, like they've been doing for the past 20 years, and entering a question into Perplexity or the others, is that they do a query fan out. So you ask something. The general idea is you ask something, they search for results, and then they essentially show you a summary of what they found. Okay. The difference is that they don't search just for what you asked. They do a query fan out. So they look at what you ask and they say, this is about Joomla, entering an article. So I'm going to search for entering an image in a Joomla article. I'm also going to search for, okay, image optimization technologies and and maybe WordPress, because maybe there's something, probably not, but things like that. So they're going to be, it's like 500 of them. They're going to be searching for many, many, many more things than initially for the past 20 years. They just search for what you asked. Now they're going to search for many, many, many more things, and then they are going to summarize that. Summarize is not the right word, but extract a response from that. So it's really different. It's the same thing as before. At the same time, it's really different because that influences a lot what you're going to, what kind of content and what things you're going to include in your content on your website to keep in the loop. Because at the end, what you want to be one of these 7 sites that are there, because they are going to mention, if you're one of these sites, they're going to mention you, maybe, so people know about your content. Maybe they're going to put links to your website. It's possible. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen much more, but It does happen. That's how you get it. But the next session, I believe, is about how you get more visibility in LLM. So it's going to be exactly, the consequences of that. So it's really going to be super interesting. Okay, so now it's pretty much everything in terms of, well, not mistakes, but yeah, mistakes. I've got a few things. A direct consequence here, questions you want to ask yourself. Yes, there are all these LLM assistants. Do you want to block them from reading your content, or do you want to, on the contrary, you want to let them all in and have all your content and do whatever they want with it in the hope that they will send you back traffic or you get recognition? So that's, you see, they are both good and bad. There's no, and I can't give you an answer. The general idea, I think, is that if what you sell, quote, is what's on your website, then probably you don't want them to get in because they're going to have it and nobody is going to come back to buy your stuff. On the contrary, if you're selling services, you're building Joomla websites, then probably you want them to have everything you write, because the goal is that people come to your site and they say, oh, these guys, they know about it and they know what they're doing, and I'm going to hire them to build a website, a Joomla website, which currently the AI, there's no AI solution to do that at the moment. We don't know how long it will take. If we have time, but we have time. 5 minutes, we have time. Okay, I have a few things that I noted. It's also a consequence, but the next talk will be about that. Don't write with the old things, like write with H1, H2, and so on. Yeah, okay, it's good. You have H1, H2, a good structure, because it's good, especially for accessibility, but it's not what's going to get you on top. Remember about the query fan out. So when you're writing content and thinking about your content, maybe you want to widen a little bit what you're writing about and what you're talking about. It will help, certainly. It's a bit random, but I've seen many people being totally obsessed with speed. And by speed, I mean getting 100, 100, 100, 100 on page speed insights. Okay, in terms of SEO and probably your users, 0.5 second, and I don't get into the detail, but it's the same as 2 seconds. So I'm seeing that in the next slide, but don't spend your days on that. Once you're good, you're good. Obsess about quality. This is about not the main having a correct keyword. Again, writing for a keyword, remember, query fan out. They are not searching for a specific keyword anymore. It's over. It's been going on for years, actually, inside of Google, actually. It's nothing new. But what you may want to think about is, what's the value of what I'm writing, my new article, my new piece on something. Many more websites are seeing, when you go to the Google Search Console, because you find your pages are not showing in the results, you'll see things like discovered but not indexed. And this is pages that they found, they looked at it, and they decided not to index it. And people are like pulling their hair over that, because you can have hundreds of pages like that. And they think they have made something wrong. They are looking for a fix. And sometimes it was a mistake, there's a bug somewhere. But 99% of the time, it's just that they look at it and say, we have millions of pages like that already. Be dealing with that particular topic. I'm not going to load my servers and my disks with one more page just like that. It doesn't bring anything to the world. So whenever you write something, think about that. We are in a time when millions of people have been writing billions of pages for 20 years. It's really hard to get over that. Of course, if you're talking about your own business and your own things, yeah, okay, it's fine, that's you, it's unique. But for many things, the spot is already taken. Okay, worry about speed is the other side of what I was saying. Worry about speed, your site has to be fast. Just don't spend days and nights working on that. Use Joomla Cache, it works. Crawlability is the ability for search engines and AI bots to navigate and read your page. You should not have any technical issues there. The Search Console is going to tell you if there are. I don't think I mentioned that Bing also has the equivalent. It's called the Webmaster Tools or something. Internal linking, you need to link. There could be a whole talk about that. And don't be afraid to no index, that is to hide content that's not worthwhile. And I think it's probably the last thing I'm going to say. Technical SEO, that is changes you make on your website, technical things. It's always better to do nothing than do something wrong. So study, be sure that you're doing the right thing, that you're not going to break things. If you want to play with redirects, if you want to play something I've seen a lot with canonical tags, be sure you're doing it right, because it can damage things very, very easily. So if you're not sure, ask, search, whatever. But it's always better to do nothing than do wrong. Usually Google is going to, and Bing are going to find their way through your content. Joomla websites, the Joomla CMS is going to put things properly, do things properly. It's going to be fast enough, it's going to be working fine. So be careful when you do things. So I was saying, keep in the loop, try to study. These are really only a few things. Google Search Console, Google Search Central YouTube channel. It's a good source of information. They have pieces, videos in multiple languages. So there's Spanish, there's plenty of things. You can interact with them also, you can ask questions. I didn't change this one. So Twitter for the younger here is the old name of x.com. I changed it just here. These are a few people worth knowing. If you follow Barry Schwartz and Search Engine Land, you'll get everything about SEO that's happening, everything. Like it's too much, you can't really catch up with that, but you follow him on Twitter and you follow Search Engine Land, or you have the old method, which is the RSS feeds, which is what I do, you got everything. And there's the search of the record podcasts, which is getting less interesting these days, so that's it for me. So, thank you. ¿Tenemos tiempo para preguntas o no?
¿Hay alguna preguntilla?
No. ¿Sí?
¿Español o en inglés?
Vamos a intentar en español y lentamente, por favor.
¿Tú crees que es interesante marcar como no index
Sí.
mucho contenido para que el robot tenga menos donde buscar y que no decida él lo que es importante, sino que tú?
Sí. Es muy claro y por lo tanto no pasan tiempo que no se va a utilizar para descubrir páginas que son no buenas. Sí, entonces es una buena cosa. Claro.
La obsesión de que me indexe toda mi web, ¿no?
Sí. El tema de sitemap es la misma cosa.
Eso de no tener sitemap
Es que pongo yo por dentro para no tener que...
a lo que me vienen diciendo.
Se puede que tú necesitas un sitemap, pero con una página web de, no sé, 20 páginas, they're going to read everything. It doesn't matter. You absolutely do not need a sitemap there. It's just a waste of time, and you need an extension. Usually you need another extension. No, not for that. But if you have a 10,000 pages website, with some pages that are good, some pages that are bad, then probably you don't want that. You want to have a sitemap and direct them to wherever you have good pages that you want them to index and not waste time otherwise. Okay.
Thank you.
Disculpe.